Okay, so you know that specific kind of social media post. The one we've all sort of decided is relatable.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You've seen them. The perfectly labeled pantry, the color-coded bookshelf, and the caption is always like, I'm so OCD about my snacks.
It's the aesthetic of a disorder, without any of the actual disorder, the memification of mental health.
And normally you just scroll past, maybe you chuckle, double tap. But the writer we're diving into today, she doesn't scroll past, she stops. And honestly, she gets pretty angry.
We are looking at the writings of Farah Manjali Rawashta, specifically a bunch of her blog posts and this really compelling script draft called The Adaptive Architect, ADHD and the Mask of Order.
Right.
And she basically argues that while the internet is making mental health into this, cute quirk, she's been using those same traits to build a survival strategy for a really high-stakes corporate career.
She calls herself an adaptive architect. Now, I have to admit, when I first saw that in our notes, I thought it sounded a little, I don't know, a bit buzzwordy.
Yeah, I get that.
Something you'd put on your LinkedIn?
That's a fair first impression, but when you get into how she breaks it down, you realize architect isn't just a metaphor for, coping. She means it literally. She sees her mind as this construction site where she's had to build these incredibly complex structures just to function.
So the question we're really digging into today isn't just what's ADHD like.
Yeah.
It's more specific. Is high-functioning neurodivergence a superpower, like some people say?
Or a trauma response.
Or is it this piece of complex engineering that, as Farah suggests, we should actually be in awe of?
Exactly. We want to move you from just, simple empathy, oh, that must be hard, to really respecting the sheer mechanical effort it takes for someone like her to just sit in a meeting and appear normal.
Okay, so let's start with that frustration. Because she really doesn't pull any punches in the source material. She talks about the tension between internet culture and her actual life. She mentions water glass circles.
Right, the condensation rings on a table.
And she says, and this is a quote, "Stop telling me your water glass circles are OCD." She's drawing a really hard line. For her, these things are not names. She calls them the twin engines of a 13-year career.
And that phrase, twin engines, that's the real anchor for this whole thing. It just completely reframes the conversation.
How so?
Well, usually, if someone has ADHD and OCD, we talk about it as baggage, right? Hurdles, things weighing you down.
But an engine propels you.
Exactly, an engine gives you thrust. Farah is saying that for the last 13 years, these conditions haven't just been there, they've been the propulsion system.
But, and this is the key bit of nuance.
Yes.
Engines run hot.
And they burn a lot of fuel.
A massive amount of fuel.
Yeah.
And if you don't maintain them, they can explode. So when she sees people treating OCD like a trendy accessory, it's insulting.
They're trying on the aesthetic of the engine.
Totally. The cool part, without understanding any of the mechanics or, the dangerous maintenance it takes to keep it from blowing up, and she contrasts that online vibe, the "oh, I like things tidy," with her reality, which she calls, very explicitly, a survival mechanism.
It's not a preference, it's survival.
Yeah.
And to really get why it's a survival mechanism, you have to look at the timeline. This was the part of the research that, honestly, it really surprised me.
The origin story.
Yeah, so Farah explains that she was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid. That was the baseline, the original wiring. But the OCD traits, the rigid lists, the constant checking, the routines.
Those came later.
They came later.
Which is so interesting because I think most of us just assume you're born with the hand you're dealt,
Typically, yeah. But Farah has this theory of adaptive OCD. She's suggesting the OCD wasn't some random second disorder that just showed up.
It was the strategy.
It was a subconscious strategy, a tool her brain built, almost like a callus, to manage the ADHD.
She writes, "My mind was moving too fast, so I built a cage of lists, routines, and mental checks."
And let's focus on that word, cage. That is not a soft, gentle word.
No, it's restrictive. It's confinement.
Exactly. If your mind is a wild animal or like a high-speed train with no brakes, that's the ADHD, you have to build something strong enough to contain it. So the lists, the checking, in her view, that isn't the disorder. That's the containment field.
So the OCD is the architect's solution to the chaos of the ADHD.
That's it. It's the mask of order.
But does that actually work? Using one condition to manage another sounds a bit like fighting fire with gasoline.
Well, it works in that it produces results. She says people see her as calm and organized. She's successful. She's in the boardroom.
But the internal experience is totally different from what people see on the outside.
Completely. There's this really specific audio concept in her script draft. She describes a sound. It's this fast, overlapping glitch, that's the chaotic mind, that then suddenly just snaps into a steady heartbeat.
From glitch to heartbeat.
Yeah.
Wow. I found that so visceral. It's not that the glitch is gone.
No.
It's that she has forced it into a rhythm. She's literally engineered a heartbeat out of static.
And that feat of engineering is what she wants people to see. It's not natural calm. It's manufactured calm. And manufacturing takes a lot of energy.
This brings us to a part of the source material that I think is the most unique. It's where it stops being a personal essay and almost turns into sci-fi.
We're talking about the AI intervention.
Yes. She has this dialogue where an AI analyzes her brain.
Yeah.
And the language the AI uses is fascinating. It doesn't use medical terms.
No deficit or disorder. It looks at her brain as a machine, pure and simple, and it flags her neurology as a high-variance processing style.
Which, I have to say, sounds a lot better than attention deficit. But what does high variance actually mean here? Is it just speed?
It's speed, but it's mainly scope. The AI notes that her input channels are just wide open. So in a standard brain, you have filters, right? You filter out the hum of the lights, the tag on your shirt, the conversation happening down the hall. Farah's style means she's not filtering. She's processing the tone of voice, the subtext, the environmental noise, the lighting, all of it at the same time.
That's the data overflow she talks about.
Right, and normally a system with that much input just crashes. That's the glitch. But the AI sees that she's written a custom software patch to handle the load.
And the patch is the OCD.
The AI calls it a compression algorithm. It sees that her routines, the lists, the obsessive checking, they aren't bugs. They're compression tools. She forces the world into these neat little boxes so the data is small enough for her processor to handle without overheating.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But then the AI asks the big question. At what cost to the hardware?
And Farah's answer is just blunt. The cost is exhaustion.
Let's really dig into that energy tax. Because it's easy to say, oh, she gets tired, but this is way more than just needing a nap, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Think of it like your computer CPU usage. If you're neurotypical, sitting in a meeting might take, 10% of your processing power? You listen, take notes, talk, you have 90% left over.
But for Farah,
the source material suggests she is running at nearly 100% utilization just to sit still. She's spending that 10% on the meeting, but then another 80% just maintaining the cage.
wow.
Restraining the impulse to interrupt, managing all the sensory input, double-checking her own thought because her brain is jumping to 5 other things, masking the need to fidget.
So she has no buffer, no margin for error.
None. She's doing, 5 times the work just to achieve the exact same result, appearing normal.
And that's before you even count the actual work she's doing for her job.
Which she's been doing successfully for 13 years. And that's why she calls them twin engines. They are powerful. They get her where she needs to go. But the risk is total burnout.
It's a paradox.
It is. The OCD cage keeps the mind from burning out, but maintaining the cage is what's making her exhausted. You work to keep from burning out, but the work itself is the burnout.
So I have to ask, why do it? Why not just let the chaos reign? Why build the cage in the first place?
Well, because there is an upside. And this is where the debate in the source material gets really, really interesting. We have to ask, is this a superpower or is it a trauma response?
And does she actually pick a side? Because usually these things are painted as one or the other. You're either a tortured genius or you're a victim.
She really wrestles with that. She doesn't land on one easy answer. On the one hand, she lists the clear professional benefits. She talks about multitasking across different industries while other people are, quote, still reading the brief.
That's the high variance processing paying off.
Exactly. When you take in that much data, you start to see patterns other people miss. You see links to innovation that a linear thinker literally cannot see because their brain filtered out the connection before they even knew it was there.
She has this one line. I see the link to trauma and I see the link to innovation.
It's so profound, isn't it? The same wiring that makes you hyper-aware of danger or a shift in someone's mood, the trauma response, is the exact same wiring that lets you spot a gap in the market before anyone else.
So the superpower isn't some kind of magic. It's just the other side of the coin from the struggle.
Precisely. But she's very careful not to fall into that, toxic positivity trap. She's not just saying ADHD is a gift and leaving it there. She says she is a legend in her own right. Her words. Not because she was born with a superpower.
But because she learned to navigate the storm.
Right. The navigation is what's legendary, not the storm itself.
She uses this one analogy that I absolutely love, but it's also kind of absurd. She says, I learned to box with my kangaroo, not just watch it hop.
The kangaroo, it's such a vivid image.
It's hilarious, but let's actually unpack that. Why a kangaroo and why boxing?
Well, just imagine that ADHD is a kangaroo in your living room. It's chaotic, it's powerful, it's bouncing off the walls, knocking over lamps. It's just this unpredictable energy.
An absolute nightmare if you're just trying to have a calm evening.
For sure. So a passive approach, the victim mindset, would be to just sit there and watch it destroy your house. Oh, well, I've got a kangaroo.
Or the meme approach is to take a selfie with it. Look at my cute kangaroo. Hashtag chaos.
Exactly. Look how quirky my living room is. But your house is still getting wrecked. Farah says she learned to box with it, and that implies active engagement.
Like,
Boxing is a sport. It needs a stance, a rhythm, defense, offense. It implies a relationship with the chaos.
yes, she's in the ring with her own brain chemistry. She's not just letting it run wild, but she's not pretending it doesn't exist either. She's grappling with it, directing its energy.
Taking the hits, for sure, but also landing her own punches.
Boxing is exhausting. You can't stay in the ring forever.
No, you can't. And that brings us back to the whole respect thing. The source material has a really clear directive for us, for you listening. Shift from empathy to awe.
Awe is a big word. Usually we look at neurodivergence through a lens of pity or maybe accommodation.
Right. How can we help? And that's important. But Farah challenges us to look at the engineering of it all. She writes, being different is attractive, but being functional is a triumph.
Being functional is a triumph. Let's just pause on that. Because for most people, being functional is just baseline. It's Tuesday.
Exactly. For a neurotypical person, showing up on time and sitting still in a meeting is the default setting. For Farah, that's a constructed victory.
Especially in the corporate world she's in. I mean, we have to remember, this is a 13-year career, boardrooms, high-stakes decisions.
And that world is built for order. It's built for linear thinking, for predictable schedules, for Gantt charts. It is designed by and for the neurotypical brain.
And here's Farah, excelling in that environment with a brain that naturally wants to do the exact opposite of all that.
It's like climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah.
We don't pity the climber because the mountain is steep. We respect them because they climbed it. Farah is saying, don't pity me because my brain is chaotic. Respect me because I built a geometric grid over that chaos, and I'm running a business on top of it.
It's an architectural triumph. Like she built a skyscraper on a fault line.
That is the perfect analogy. And the skyscraper is still standing. So when we see her success, we shouldn't just think, wow, she's smart. We should be thinking, wow, look at the structural integrity of the system she had to build to even use that smarts.
It goes right back to that glitch into a heartbeat. It's the intentionality. It's the sheer force of will it takes to impose rhythm on noise.
So what does all this mean for us? For you listening right now? Maybe you don't have ADHD or OCD. Maybe you do. But her story offers a really powerful framework either way.
It's about this concept of being the adaptive architect in your own life. We all have things about our minds, our lives, that are, let's just say, less than optimal.
Or just straight up messy.
Right, and we have a choice. We can let the chaos run us, we can pretend it's a cute quirk for social media, or we can do the really hard work of engineering a solution.
We can build the cage, we can put on the mask of order, not to fake it, but just to function.
And recognize that the cost of that optimization, the exhaustion, the energy tax, is the price you pay for using those twin engines. You don't get the thrust without burning the fuel. Her closing mantra in the material is, embrace the chaos, but keep the pen.
I love that. The chaos is the raw material. It's the ink, but the pen is your agency. You write the story, you draw the blueprints, you don't just let the chaos spill all over the page, you give it form.
It's a call to action, to take ownership of your wiring. She says, be kind to your wiring, but be honest about the work it takes to maintain it.
And that honesty is what's missing from the memes, right? The memes show the quirk, they don't show the work. Farah shows the work, she shows us the blueprints.
As we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a thought to carry into your next meeting, your next interaction.
And it connects right back to that judgment we started with, the water glass circles.
We so often judge competence by how calm someone appears. We see the person sitting still, taking neat notes, and we think, wow, they have it all together. They're just naturally organized.
But maybe we're seeing it all wrong.
Consider this. What if we saw organized people not as naturally orderly, but as people who are potentially working incredibly hard just to restrain a chaotic interior. How would that change how we judge them?
Maybe the calmest person in the room is actually doing the most heavy lifting.
Maybe that silence isn't peace. Maybe it's the sound of a kangaroo being boxed into submission so that business can get done. And honestly, that deserves a standing ovation.
Or at least a little less heeing about how cute the struggle is.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing the architecture behind the mask. Thanks for diving in with us.
I'll catch you on the next one.